stuff. Happy New Year and happy National Poetry Month. Now, 6 poetry collections later, of course, poetry is my first love. Poetry is my niche. Out of all the things I like to write, it's poetry. It is my bio. It is my diary entries. It's a piece of my heart. Like, I love poetry. So, of course, I have to talk about what got me started with poetry and how I got here. So, I've always been writing. Even when I was a toddler, I would scribble on little memo pads from my grandmother's. She had an address box. I forgot what you call it, but it's like a glass case, and usually you rip out a sheet of paper and you write the address on there and you give it to the person. But I don't know what you call it. But anyway, so I used to write little stories in there in Scribble Scrabble, and I would read them to my mother, and she would agree, this is a good story, all right. And then as I got older, when I got into the 2nd grade, I had a teacher by the name of Steve, and he taught us about poetry, and we actually had a poetry night in our classroom. I think we had to write 2 poems about whatever we wanted, and my first poem was about sneaking in the middle of the night to eat some snacks that I was not supposed to be having. So if my mom said I couldn't have fruit snacks, I was getting up around 2 a.m. and sneaking in the kitchen to get some fruit snacks. There's a delay there. I didn't start writing till I was about 13. I used to write in my composition notebook just to explain how I feel, express what was going on inside. I was really emotional at 13. I don't know, but, no, I do know what was going on there. Some repressed stuff. But anyway, I wrote my heart out at 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 2006, when I was 16, I got into some poetry competition and I won, and that poem got into some poetry book. I don't remember what it was, but I realized, maybe there's something I can do with this. But I was in fashion industries, and I was supposed to be a fashion designer. I just knew I was going to do fashion. But I noticed even in my draping classes, my pattern making classes, I was writing. I was writing a poem here and there. I didn't really give a damn about what the hell I was sewing. None of that. So by the time I hit my junior year or senior year, I think my junior year, that's when I realized, okay, maybe I can do something with this writing and poetry thing. So I actually accepted that. You know what? I'm a poet. I'm going to be a writer one day. I think I can do this. But the idea of actually writing a poetry collection, I had so many excuses, so many reasons why I shouldn't. So I just kept writing. Obviously by this time, I was 20. So I started typing up my stuff. But I don't know. Till this day, I still handwrite my poems and my free writes and my word vomits. But I started typing everything up when I was 20. And then by 24, I just released my first poetry collection. When I was still a Christian, I did my first Christian poetry collection called My QUINTESSENCE. And it was poems from my teenage years all the way up until that point. And I wasn't just regular Christian poetry. I had love poems in there, poems about Black life. I had poems about heartbreak, my parents, my friends, but just from a Christian perspective, which 6 years later or 7 years later, I'm kind of considering taking down my quintessence. Not because, I don't write like that anymore or I've grown. I think you should actually keep books like that so you can see that growth. But my beliefs have changed. I'm so far from that. So I'm still kind of figuring out if I'm going to take it down or not. But either way, I've been doing this poetry thing for a while, and I don't think I'll stop anytime soon. So when I got to college, I had a professor who read my poems, but he challenged me on a few things. He asked that I actually look up some poetic devices and poetic forms, which I didn't really care about that. Like, I'm sharing my heart. I'm not trying to structure my stuff. Forget all that. But I gave it a try. So he gave me a book, but I don't know. I didn't like it. It was boring as hell, y'all. I wasn't trying to do that. So I looked it up myself. I looked up internal rhyming, alliteration, allegory, metaphor, meter poetry, which I don't like. I don't like meter poetry. All that iambic pentameters and all of that, no. No. But still, I looked it up and I did give it a try, and I started experimenting with various poetic forms, poetic devices, and I was like, okay. Like I was able to strengthen my writing muscle, my writing poetic muscle. And that's where I really started to grow with my poetry, because I didn't just write from my heart and just leave the free verse for what it is. I actually got to structure it a little bit, make it cleaner, cut out certain words. If I was over explaining, I would cut them out and mince them and just shorten it. Less is more when it comes to poetry. So I definitely grew when I was in college. I don't think I'm an expert yet. I think I got a long way to go, a couple of things to learn, but I know for sure I adore poetry and the many ways you can express yourself poetically, the forms, the devices. But anyway, happy National Poetry Month. Those of you who are writing poetry challenges for this month, good luck. If you are thinking about writing a poetry book, write it. You can go on Amazon, you can try Lulu, you can try BookBaby, you can do traditional publishing. It's all on you. Do not let anybody tell you that poetry has to look this way or that way, or it has to rhyme or it doesn't have to rhyme. As long as you're expressing your heart, you're good to go. For more information about my writings and my journey, you can visit my website at www.jasminefarrell.com, or you can follow my Instagram page at Just Breathe Jasmine.